All right. Well, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Dorn, Director of Alumni Relations for the Graduate School of Education and Psychology. And I'd like to welcome you to our fourth and last installment of Jammy Online for the summer series. Just to let you know, we will be back in the fall, so don't worry, but this will be our last installment for the summer series. And so for those of you who have joined us for the first three Jammy sessions, welcome back. And if this is your first time joining us, then we welcome you to our Jammy session. So let me start by giving a quick overview of what Jammy Online is. So Jammy is a Swahili term for community. And the Jammy Online community is designed to provide up-to-date insight on career trends in education and psychology, while also building a professional network of students, alumni, and industry leaders, and providing a virtual opportunity for our students and alumni to connect with our more established alumni and leaders in various fields. So that is why we are so excited to have the guest speakers that we have for you today. And today's focus is on human resources, talent management, and recruiting. We're trying to help you get a job. So this is the perfect Jammy session for you. And so now let me have the career services and alumni relations teams introduce themselves to you. So first of all, as I said, I'm Dr. Renee Dorn, Director of Alumni Relations.
Hi everyone, I'm Sofia Enriquez. I'm the Alumni Relations Analyst for GSEP Alumni Relations.
Hi everyone, I'm Yas Hardaway, Executive Director of Career Services at GSEP. Welcome.
Hi everybody, my name is Nadine Surratt. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Education and Counseling for GSEP Career Services.
Hi everyone, my name is Frania Arroyo, Career Services Specialist at GSEP.
Hi everyone, my name is Io Tejada. I am a graduate assistant at Career Services and a student with GSEP psychology program.
Hi everyone and welcome to our Jammy. My name is Parsa. I'm also a graduate assistant at the Career Service team and a student at the Clinical Psychology program.
So thank you to all of the teams, Career Services, Alumni Relations, and especially to our leader, Yas Hardaway. This was her brainchild to have Jammy Online, so thank you, Yas. So now, next we're gonna go over today's outcomes. So for today, we want you to learn about updated information on the current hiring landscape. We want you to gain insight into how practice management software like Simple Practice, which will be presented to you today, can support new therapists in establishing a strong telehealth practice, and that you'll gain insight into AI-powered tools like JobScan, which will also be presented to you today, that optimizes your resume, cover letters, and LinkedIn profile for job postings and applicant tracking systems. So at this time, let's have the speakers turn on their cameras so that we can introduce you to the four ladies who will be in our panel for today. Today we have Vivian Menzies, Global Human Resources Director for Microsoft, Jenny Dearborn. She's the founder and advisor for Actionable Analytics Group and co-founder for Silicon Valley Apprenticeship Consortium. Jennifer Lee Smigelski, Director of Talent Management for Thai Union Group, PLC in North America. And Allison Mayer, Human Resources Professional for First Quadrant. Hello to all the ladies. Seems like this is the ladies panel right now, so hello to all of you. So first, let me ask you, please explain to everyone your current roles and responsibilities. And because this is so nice, this is a panel of GSEP alums and current students, tell us what prompted you to apply to further your education and come to Pepperdine. So let's start with Allison.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll start with the first question first, why I chose Pepperdine, and it's exciting to be back with the alumni. I had always been aware of its reputation coming from Chicago and knowing that there was a school along the beach. I was very excited to physically be here and go to school here. I also appreciated their work ethic, and the professors were very one-on-one. I appreciated that one-on-one ability to have a smaller class and to learn a lot and stay ahead of the curve. So frankly, it really has helped me open doors as well. If you're wondering, the reputation is still stellar, and it's exciting to pay it back right now. A little bit about my background. As she mentioned, I'm the Human Resources Business Partner at First Quadrant. Our offices are in gorgeous Pasadena. And as I think about it at a higher level as a HR professional, my belief is that HR, we affect teams and individuals. My role and responsibilities, we affect people's lives and their futures, but also the firm profitability. So how do we blend those together? And the humans are our resources. So I really wanted to make sure I have an impact with people. I'm reminded of Maya Angelou quote. She had said, people may forget what you said and people may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So while we blend the responsibilities of leading and directing and strategies for our firm and our business, whether it's employee engagement, leadership development, hiring, which we'll talk about today, the opposite of that, firing. How do you not get yourself in those? We need to stay the course. And my last thought is, especially now, being aware of where we are in the world, where the firm is going in the world, where you as an individual and a professional want to take yourself. That impact is something that we strive to do here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Allison. Vivian, tell us a little bit about your role and what prompted you to come to Pepperdine.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, Pepperdine itself, it's the reputation is absolutely stellar. To make a decision, being 20 plus years in human resources, you know, everything I do at this particular point is very intentional and purposeful. So thought very heavy and hard about what would be the great fit for me to further my education, specifically around organizational leadership. So I am in the GSEP program for the doctorate program in organizational leadership. So it was just a perfect fit. So when you add that to really aligning reputation, small classes, really practical education that really can be utilized within my career, and I can take it in real time and, you know, go to school, go to class one day, next day actually put some things into play is very important to me. So that's why I chose the phenomenal school of Pepperdine and the doctorate program that I'm in. I'm ecstatic about it. A little bit about my background. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, you know, having the many years, too many years maybe to mention, but of human resources. I am a global HR director with Microsoft. I support what they call the physical and digital stores of Microsoft. I support all of the US, Europe, Asia Pacific, and LATAM. My team is large and global, even more global now since the pandemic. We're being much more creative with how we manage and support all the business objectives across Microsoft in this particular division. That's about 7,500 employees total in just my division, you know. But we support the business, and we're continuing looking at how do we really maximize the largest asset of any organization, which is its people, right? So that's really in a nutshell. I feel that we are being in human resources, we have the best job in the world, literally. We impact lives, families, the trajectory of people's careers, and things of that sort. So it's very rewarding and exciting. So I'm just excited to be part of the Pepperdine panel this month. So I'm excited.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Vivian. So Jenny, because we have a Jennifer and we have a Jenny. So Jenny, I'm going to start with you.
Great. Thank you. I'm Jenny Dearborn calling in from Silicon Valley, California, and I am a 5-time Chief Learning and Chief Talent Officer at companies like Hewlett-Packard, Sun Microsystems, SuccessFactors, SAP, Sum Total Systems, and I now run my own consulting and advisory firm for startups that are about to go IPO and getting them ready for their human capital management needs as a public company. And why I chose Pepperdine is because of the work-life balance accommodations for working professionals that are traveling all around the world. And so being able to do the work online in every time zone suited my, my needs.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Jennifer, the same question, your current role and responsibilities, and why Pepperdine? Why Pepperdine?
Yeah, thank you. First, I want to say hello to everyone, and I'm honored to be part of this panel. A little bit about my background. So I currently lead talent development for all of Thai Union North America. You probably haven't heard of Thai Union North America, but you probably have heard of one of our major brands, which is Chicken of the Sea, the tuna company, actually a bit more than tuna. But I joined the company 4 years ago as the head of HR for one of the brands. And a few years later, we started bringing together the HR organizations for the different brands. And I had this opportunity to create a whole new role. And I was asked to lead talent development for the organization. Having a personal passion in talent development, I jumped at the opportunity. They didn't need to ask me twice. And so it was a great transition for me. I'd spent my career in human resources. I started out in investment banking, big companies like Morgan Stanley, and then I moved on to high tech, and eventually my last HR generalist type role was at Nike. So I had a really great exposure to different companies, big companies around the world, and then I joined Chicken of the Sea, Thai Union, and had this opportunity to transition into a real area of passion for me, and that's developing our people. I've always been interested in coaching and developing others, and really encouraging people to reach their potential. And other things that I do, I'm also responsible for developing our company policy. So I've developed our employee handbook. I've led a lot of the diversity and inclusion initiatives at Thai Union North America. And for training, we've been focused a lot lately on building and launching a sales capability program. So we've, over the last over a year and a half, I've been leading Sales Academy. And more recently, we've launched a Leadership Academy and a Manager Essentials program. So I've really been focused in on sales capabilities and leadership development. The reason I chose Pepperdine was, as I mentioned, I had a background in HR, but more recently in talent development. And I personally wanted to get more rigor around talent development. Why Pepperdine? Well, I had originally looked at the MSOD program, the MSOD, which is a huge, very reputable program, highly thought of. But that wasn't quite the right fit for me personally, even though it is a great program. So when I learned that there was this online program, much like Jenny, I looked at the opportunity of combining work-life balance as a working mom of 2 elementary age children and all the different activities and sports that usually accompany that, being full-time employed. And I really, it really resonated with me, Pepperdine's, statement of purpose, service, and leadership. Right. So I wanted to, to align with a school that is focused on doing something good in the world, much like myself. And I love that it's here in the local LA area, even though I study online. Pepperdine is just a stone's throw away. In case I need help, I can go see everyone in person when we're, not in COVID-19, but normally that would be the option. So that's why Pepperdine.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Each one of you touched on a little bit of this next question, and it has to do with the current talent acquisition landscape. And so let me ask you, how has recruitment and hiring been impacted by the COVID-19 health crisis? And I'm going to add, as well as what's going on with diversity and Black Lives Matter. So let me start with Vivian, because you mentioned that first. So how has the landscape changed for you?
Well, with Microsoft being a very global organization, and specifically, I've always been global. That's what we support. So the only difference really it's taken the notion that we've always known that we need to be more global, more agile in how we are finding top talent. And so what's taken place when before maybe we were a little less hesitant, a little more conservative, like let's fly them to Redmond because I'm based out of the Seattle, Washington area. So we always would do that huge, we call it interview loop, which was just just interesting to me that we would have to fly people from Europe to Redmond, even though they're going to be supporting Europe. So, but it's changed now with the COVID-19. Now it's been a necessity where it's literally we're being forced to actually be more agile, more creative, more innovative on how we actually look at talent. And we're actually able to dive even deeper from a perspective now because you just got nothing but time and Zoom, or for us, Microsoft Teams, please, people. And so the reality is that you have a lot of time to really utilize that great talent, skill sets of interviewing and understanding, seeking to understand the backgrounds. And so it's really have opened up another level of a deeper dive. We call it a deeper dive into the talent pool, really assessing and things of that sort from our landscape has changed. The second piece on Black Lives Matter, it is something that has been very dear to Microsoft and many of us across all lives matter, of course. However, though, what it has done in our organization, we have definitely taken a couple steps back and really re-looked at how we are truly understanding what's happening in society and how it impacts our talent acquisition. And what I mean by that is that it's like we say, we're looking at it from a perspective of really how are we approaching talent, and are we really fishing in all the right pools? It's okay to fish before. Now we're really looking, are we really fishing in the real diverse pools and things of that sort? And now because of Black Lives Matter, we are having to take steps back and say, well, do we really have a really robust diversity and inclusion plan and when it comes to talent? So I'm thrilled, happy. It's not a new thing, and I would hope it's not a new thing for many companies, but it is making it much more pressureful where we're having to step up, and now we actually have to put our money where our mouth is. Now we're going to put the strategy in place that actually goes along with that type of diversity.
Excellent. And now, Jennifer, you also mentioned that, so let me go to you and ask the same question. The talent acquisition landscape, and how has recruitment and hiring been impacted by COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, of course. So there's a couple of different things that have been impacted by COVID-19. Like many businesses, we're not conducting in-person interviews anymore. They're either via phone or Skype. And we're still able to find good talent out there. We've hired a number of really good people in the last several weeks. And so what has shifted for us is that the onboarding experience becomes a virtual experience. And, we would ship their computer and their equipment to their home address. So we're still looking for ways that we can further enhance the virtual experience. We actually use, we may get to use Microsoft Teams there, Vivian, but right now we have Facebook Workplace. And that's been really instrumental in helping us become more virtual. For those of you who are not familiar with the seafood industry or have no experience in seafood, I would say that Thai Union North America or Thai Union Global Company is pretty progressive for a seafood company. Seafood industry in general is pretty antiquated. So, I saw the question about AI. That's not a question for me. We're not there yet. But but we are leading the industry in sustainability. So there's that.
Okay.
But in terms of, finding talent, I would say our focus has been on still tapping channels to find great talent. We've always been focused on, are we diverse in our hiring? And
Yes.
actually, one of the things that I really love about my company, one of the first things I noticed when I joined our North America headquarters is that we are a very diverse team. We have people who are bilingual, trilingual, multilingual, all different religions, all different backgrounds, different countries of origin. So that part's been really good. But historically, our company, like many others in the seafood industry, is had fewer women in leadership. And so that's been an area of focus for us, is growing our women in leadership roles and advancing them through executive level positions. Now with Black Lives Matter, we've been kind of circling back, and like Vivian said, for Microsoft, looking at, are we tapping the right channels? Are we looking in the right areas for talent? What else do we need to change about our hiring process? Is there anything else we need to change to make sure that we really truly are considering all of the best candidates for open positions? So like many other companies out there, we've been relooking, and we're actually in the process of creating more formality around our diversity and inclusion initiatives, and trying to bring in more players from the field, from our employees, rather than our leadership, to help drive those initiatives.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Now, Jenny, let me ask you the same question. What is the talent acquisition landscape looking like, regarding recruitment and hiring?
Yeah, so my primary clientele are startups, and we have not seen any slowdown in recruiting or talent acquisition at all. Everything's moved to virtual, to Zoom or Teams or whatever platform. We have seen a move towards sort of an AI approach around psychometric personality testing. So a greater reliance on other forms of assessment, since we can't meet in person. It used to be just an in-person meeting, and now I'd say it's multiple Zoom meetings, plus candidates need to create proposals and present those virtually and complete several different assessments. So it is going to be a more rigorous process, virtual, but not seeing any slowdown at all.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's good. That's good to know also. So Allison, so what's going on with First Quadrant and talent acquisitions and hiring?
Yes, we just passed through the eye of the storm. I'm very happy to say we have a smaller financial firm here, about 15 billion AUM. We just hired someone. So in the last 3 months, my biggest fear was to hire someone during a COVID that was, someone had left and had a huge impact. And that's what happened right out of the gate. But it was good because I don't want to duplicate what the other 3 women said and hopefully add something new, but I do duplicate what they said in our strategy as well. For me, I wanted to try and streamline it a little bit more. We did the same thing with the interview processing on Zoom, on WebEx. Some of the best things for me and for other interviewers when we went through the process was we were more strategic in what are we looking for. We use an ATS platform, and it definitely involved a lot of different questioning. Maybe I started reading into a little bit more than possible. Do they respond? Are they able to engage? What happens if their microphone doesn't work? So we're watching every behavior and really seeing that engagement, watching for emotional intelligence and different interactions that will help us understand their problem solving. So different avenues are trying to understand their skills that will be useful for the hiring process just through online recruiting. We're able to luckily get a lot of talented people because LinkedIn is huge. Our ATS platform helps with that. Recruiters are still getting us a very good industry, especially in finance. We've had a lot of people who have been available, unfortunately. So our talent pool was wide and diverse. And moving into that, the Black Lives Matter, the diversity and inclusion. We just had a people's manager meeting with our team to open up communication, talk about it. I'm very proud that our firm is doing very well when it comes to finance and representing either women in leadership. We just had seen a poll that said 11% of top executives are females in the asset management community, which is it's small, 1 out of 10. Or what are the other races? How are you supporting the LGBTQ community with your benefits? So we have had a lot of these in place already. But that doesn't mean you're okay. It doesn't mean you've done enough. So I think moving forward, in short, we're opening the conversations, asking people, what's going on? What are your interests? How can we reach out to the community? What has been your biased or unbiased experiences? What are the nonverbals that we can talk about? So doing deeper dives with communications before we strategize and move things formal, I think is big to understand the real issues.
Okay, that's good. Now for this last question, because all the information that you have been giving everyone has been fantastic. But for this last question, I want to ask, how can applicants stand out in the recruiting process from that passing the initial screening when they're submitting their applications to actually landing an interview? So I'm going to start with Jenny. So what can applicants do to stand out in the recruiting process?
Yeah, so I mostly place executives and what makes an executive successful. So I place C-level folks at startups, and it's really the homework that they do and the level of preparation. So did they read the financial statements? Have they read every article written about the company? Did they go onto LinkedIn and find every single employee who is at that company and make a network map? Physically, get out a piece of paper and draw a map of who you know and everybody at that company and everybody in your world that connects with the decision makers at that company. And is there any opportunity to reach out to someone that you know well? It can't be a random, someone that you know well that can influence a decision maker at the target company. Going on to YouTube and finding, every graduation speech or whatever that was delivered by the CEO of that company, following the target company on social media and reading all of their posts, understanding the culture, understanding the vibe, understanding what the challenges and the opportunities are. Don't go into an interview asking questions that you should have been able to figure out if you have done your research. So you want to start the conversation from a smart and informed place. And then that'll give you, if you only have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, you want to spend that time asking deep questions built on the knowledge and the homework that you have done, not asking questions that you could have found out if you spent 2 hours doing homework.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Jenny. So Vivian, the same question. How can an applicant stand out in the recruiting process, passing that initial screening to landing that interview and ultimately the job?
Yeah. So because I still have lots of children, I have 4 children and they're all still on my payroll. This is near to my heart and dear. So I need them to get a job and you guys need jobs. So let me tell you what I think and how important this is. So one critical thing is it's probably more my personality, but I don't think you can ever go wrong with this. So this is important. So you really have to, it's all about using multiple avenues. I think, Jenny did a great job. She talked about the C-level suite, but you know what? Why not think at that same level? Why not? Maybe you're not C-level suite, but think at the same level. It's multiple avenues. It is, yes, the social media stalking. Yes, I said stalking. Yes. Obsession about the company that is going on, whatever that company is, you need to know, breathe, live, whatever you can get your hands on. And in today's society, the way data is so accessible. So there's no reason for you not to know anything about it. If you don't, Boolean search it, Google it, whatever you need to do for surely. And then on top of it, it's really working the network. So what I'm saying is that, why is it that, if you are on LinkedIn, clearly you guys know another shout out, but, Microsoft bought LinkedIn. And so the reality is it's just a plethora of information. There are people that you can reach out to. I don't think you need to know anyone closely at all. I think you reach out to everyone and anyone in a professional manner, not begging, but on a professional side of things, saying, hey, I see you are a recruiter at ABC, or I see you're a manager in the marketing group, and I just graduated with my marketing degree. I'm seeking for any advice, anything like that. So people today, especially in today's society, I don't care what society is saying is going on and how divided we are not that divided. People want to help people. And it's just the truth. And so anyone's pinged me on LinkedIn, and I get a lot of pings. I always reach back out and hey, I'm not the one, contact Mike. All right. You know what? I have no clue about that division of Microsoft. It's 175,000 employees. I don't know that division, but I believe Lisa may be the right contact. So really use every avenue, every network, ping, research, and just really be passionate about what you want to do. That passion will come through your interviews, through your contacts, and I just don't think you can go wrong that way. I think that's how you stand out. And then when you get in the interview, just be confident. Know that you are the one for the job. When you know that and it will come across that way. Not cocky. Confident that this is your job. Say it to yourself, say it in the mirror, continue to say it to yourself. And then you will then speak that way. And then there will be a level of confidence that sometimes maybe freshly coming out of university, even grad programs, it can be a little intimidating because it's a lot. But if you use every multiple avenue possible at your fingertip, and be bold with it. Contact anyone, everyone, the grocery store, the milkman, whatever you need to do if this is the position you want. So those are my tips. And yeah, that's what I tell all my children. One's in med school. One just graduated with an MBA from Lynn. And I'm like, we are networking to death. So it's a beautiful thing.
All right. Thank you. Allison, what's going on with First Quadrant?
Yes. Totally. What the Vivian and Jenny said, the networking and being your confident. I would say since we just did it and I interviewed probably about 40 people and I saw probably about 150 resumes that were trimmed down from our ATS system, utilize it. Don't be afraid to be yourself. It kind of sounds like very basic stuff that you might have heard from a mentor growing up. But yeah, I practice in the mirror. I have someone who I say to myself, I have a go-to. I said, can I practice this? Can I look at this ahead of time? Will you run this by me? Can I dive deeper? Jenny mentioned something too. Doing your homework is huge. People who made it through with us with rounds were people who said, I noticed this. Let me take this a little bit deeper. So they're acknowledging it and they're asking questions. They're bringing what they can do through illustrations. For instance, if I say to you, tell me about a project that you were excited about. They not only talk about their thinking, but they mirror it to, I could do the same for you. I noticed you're doing ABC, and we could parallel it. And I was like, okay, now you're talking, because they're standing out and they show that passion not only for themselves, but the passion for, I want this job and I know who I'm talking to, and this is why you want to hire me.
All right. Thank you.
May I add something?
Yes.
This is Jenny. So
yes.
I have participated in many interviews recently, and it's been a trend, I think, maybe, and I'll ask my peers to comment on this in about the last 8 or so months, where the interviewer basically comes to the interview and says nothing and just says, what questions do you have for me? And the candidate drives the entire conversation. And the candidate asks questions and says, I read this, tell me more about that. I noticed this. I did this research, tell me how this works. Tell me about this structure. Tell me about, how the role will be successful, things like that. And the whole entire interview, the interviewer judges the interviewee based on the quality of the preparation and the quality of the questions.
Oh, wow.
Super important not to just to be prepared to be passive and to answer, but be prepared to lead and drive, because I've had plenty of candidates been very surprised when they are ready to answer questions and the interviewer just stares at them and says, I'm here to answer your questions. No, I'm here to answer your questions. What questions do you have? And if you're not prepared, then you won't move on to the next level.
Oh, wow. That's excellent. That is excellent. Jennifer, what's going on with Thai Union and Chicken of the Sea? What do we need to know? How can we get that interview? How can we get that?
Yeah, well, first I want to say that Vivian and Jenny and Allison offer some really great advice for how to snag an interview in the first place. I echo the point about researching. It's huge to know what's happening at the company. It will help you not only be able to respond to answers, to questions when you're asked, but to proactively ask about things that shows you know what's happening at the company. I would say to also in your research, focus on things you actually want to know about the company, you know, where you have a passion point. There's no point in asking things about the company that you don't actually want to know the answers to. So find out things you want to know more about the company, and your passion and interest, genuine interest, will come through in the interview, and it will make for a much more productive and engaging conversation. Network, you know, LinkedIn is a great tool. Get out there and use it. If you don't have a profile, make sure you have a profile set up. Make sure it's as complete and professional as you can. A nice photo on your profile, and to start networking with other people. Because in-person networking is limited these days, it doesn't mean that it's over. You can also branch out from LinkedIn and attend. There's a whole bunch of different really great webinars happening out there. Many of them are free. Maybe, you know, get into an area of your professional interest. If there's a marketing, you know, webinar, or a psychology webinar, or one in the educational field led by thought leaders in your area, join in. You'll learn something and you'll get to network with that group of your interests. You know, so for standing out at Thai Union North America specifically, know more about the company. You know, we are a global organization made up of all different brands. Certainly we've been in the news a lot for our sustainability efforts, and you know, being named as #1 by the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for all food categories. So we've been doing a lot of really groundbreaking work there. And to you know, be able to articulate all of your you know, successes and your challenges and your background, to really know your background inside and out, and to be able to have a conversation about, you know, why you are the right person for the job, why you would fit into the company at Thai Union North America, why you want to even work for the company. You know, what about Chicken of the Sea or Thai Union North America really resonates with you? So those are some ways to get started in general looking for a job in networking, and then also at my company specifically.
Right. Well, ladies, I thank you all for all of your information, all of your advice, your tips. This has been fantastic. Actually, we could talk for at least another hour on this whole subject. And I wish we could, but we have 2 more people that we want to interview to help the students and the alums to find jobs starting this summer, because we want everyone to be working. So ladies, I thank you. Thank you, Vivian and Jenny and Jennifer and Allison. We really appreciate everything that you have told us today. Thank you. And at this time, I'm going to pass it on to Sophia so that she can introduce our next speaker.
Yes, thank you. So I would love to introduce you all to Jamison Merrill. She is the product specialist for Simple Practice. So I'd love for, thank you so much, Jamison, for being on with us. Before we get started, I just kind of want you to explain what Simple Practice does. And as we have a lot of graduating students now, and as a graduating clinical psychology student, what do they sort of need to know about telehealth in this time in order to stay relevant and competitive?
Hi everyone. It is great to meet you all. I have a few slides that I'm going to be sharing as well. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Thank you, Sophia, for the introduction, and thank you to everyone for having me be a part of this. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Jameson, so I am a product specialist at Simple Practice, as well as a licensed clinical psychologist. I've been practicing in different clinical settings for about the last 7 years or so, and today I'm excited to talk about how Simple Practice can transform the way that you think about establishing an active clinical practice and give you a little more insight into the current telehealth landscape, because we've seen a lot of changes in the way that clinical services are being delivered over the past few months in particular. So just to share a little background about the reasons I joined Simple Practice was because during my clinical training, I had the opportunity to work for a few larger organizations that were lucky enough to have access to these incredibly robust EHRs and EMRs. And I saw firsthand how valuable those tools could be in managing a clinical practice. But at that time, a lot of those EHRs were completely cost prohibitive to somebody who's looking to go into private practice or open up a smaller group practice. And I felt really strongly that all clinicians should have access to these tools because they're really so useful in developing your practice. So that's when I discovered Simple Practice and learned that they shared the same mission, and was very glad to join the team. So historically, running an active clinical practice used to be a very paper-based system that many clinicians and practitioners were still relying on. And we've been seeing in the last several months, it seemed like there's this sudden dash to switch over to a digital solution like Simple Practice. But really what we're seeing is that this is part of a larger growing trend in the health and wellness industry as a whole to move towards having electronic health records and more tools to communicate with clients electronically. So part of what Simple Practice does is consolidates just every aspect of your practice into one convenient platform. So in the short term, an EHR like Simple Practice will make it easier to do your day-to-day tasks like processing client payments, writing your notes, submitting insurance claims, and just all those other requirements. So making sure that you're HIPAA compliant, everything is stored safely. And additionally, if you're using telehealth, having an integrated telehealth platform that's right there in your EHR and can make that process really streamlined for both you and for your clients. So this slide shows a little bit more about some of those features that we have. So you see on the past slide some of the features that we have, and I'll just outline them here and highlight some of the ones directly so you can see what it looks like a little bit in the platform. So when it comes to scheduling, some of these services that we offer are free appointment reminders for your clients. So just any way that you can streamline your practice and be able to do these things in an automated fashion, it's going to give you more time to engage with your clients, to develop your practice, and to just spend time on yourself, whether that's professional development or just the self-care that you need. I'm sure that's something that a lot of us are feeling maybe an extra need for, especially right now. So things like those free appointment reminders. Additionally, there are options for online booking. So you can see in the upper right corner, there's an example of what our integrated client portal looks like. So you can give your clients a place where they can go and schedule an appointment with you that you can then accept or request that appointment. And then your clients will also be able to fill out a fully paperless intake through that client portal. And additionally, we have the ability to have your clients make payments through that client portal as well, so that everything is just streamlined for both you and your clients. To talk a little bit about some of the documentation that Simple Practice offers, we have, as I mentioned, 100% paperless intakes, and those can be fully customized. So we have a huge library already of existing templates, but then you can customize those for your own practice, because we understand that, that piece can be really time consuming. The documentation in particular, especially as a new clinician, can be a lot of work to get all of your forms in place and make sure you're including the relevant information. So we wanted to provide those templates to make it just a little bit easier for you, particularly during that first transition into managing your practice, but also offer the customizability so that if something doesn't quite fit right for your particular practice, you can customize that as you need to. And additionally, we also offer several different options for integrated treatment plans, but we're really excited that one of the resources we have are the Wiley treatment planners integrated right in Simple Practice. And for some time, we're going to be offering those for free, which is just a really great way to make sure that you are building treatment plans for your clients in a really informed way. So to pivot a little bit and talk more about telehealth and how to stay competitive in the current landscape, we've just been seeing exponential growth in the last several months for our customers and for our clients in using telehealth. So we have in total over 60,000 customers, and roughly half of those customers are currently using telehealth. And that's not even including all of the practitioners who are providing telemental health services through other platforms as well. So we're really seeing just a huge shift towards this as a growing trend. And there are a lot of advantages to telehealth. So just a few of those are being able to ensure continuity of care regardless of where you are, having fewer missed appointments for your clients, and just more convenience for your clients, that they can make an appointment with you even when they can't physically be there in person, and still get the services that they need. So a few of the things that are really important if you're planning to offer telehealth to just make sure that you're staying relevant and competitive is making sure you're understanding the insurance guidelines and requirements that are needed to provide telehealth. So at the end, I've included here some resources as well. But if you go to simplepractice.com/resources, we actually have a bunch of resources related to telehealth, current insurance guidelines. And this is another great time to connect with your colleagues. So one of my other recommendations, whether you're doing telehealth or not, or whether you're going into practice or not, is just build a strong network of your peers. My graduating class, we have a private Facebook group that we use for just very informal sharing of resources and referrals to one another, and it has been an amazing lifeline. Use your peers. Talk to them, share resources, share tips. It's really, really important, especially in a time where it's much harder to connect with each other in person. And then just some basic general technical tips. Just make sure that you're paying attention to things like your internet quality, your camera quality, your lighting, because all of those are going to impact what that experience is like for your client. We recently hosted a small networking event virtually, and we had a presenter come and talk specifically about telehealth and ways to avoid telehealth burnout. And she said something really wonderful that I loved, which was telehealth is the way you deliver your services, not your clinical style. So if you practice in a psychodynamic way, or you primarily are a CBT therapist, or whatever your personal style is, that's still going to be the same with telehealth. So you're still offering your clients the same care, but you are able to continue that continuity of care should some situation arise like the one we are seeing ourselves in right now. So beyond just the convenience, there's also the lower cost associated with it, and just having the ability to connect with your clients is really important. Did anyone have any questions? If not, we can turn it over to our next speaker.
Okay, Jameson, thank you so much. That was really helpful. You packed in a lot of information in such a short time. And I think for some of our students who are aspiring clinicians, and for some of our veteran clinicians who've been practicing face-to-face for a while, the sudden upscaling of telehealth may be intimidating. So knowing what resources there are and what tips would be useful can help our clinicians stay relevant and competitive, as you had said. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to transition to our final speaker. And I'd also like to announce a new partnership between JobScan and GSEP. So within this next month, we are going to be able to provide our students and alumni with access to JobScan Premium, which will allow you to get feedback on your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile based on the job postings as well as on applicant tracking system guidelines. So without further ado, I want to introduce Collins Marshall, who is our business development partner at JobScan, and he'll be sharing a little bit of information with us about his product and why it's so relevant today.
Thank you so much, Yas. It's so good to be here with you all. And, I've got to say, I think I have the hardest job following such accomplished people. Wow, it's so impressive. I feel like I'm continuing to learn a lot through it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and share some information with you that we think is relevant, and hopefully it will go smoothly. Oh, looks like it has. So applying to a job has changed a lot in the last 15 years. And if you look at it from the standpoint of what's changed, it's really the volume of applications. 15 years ago, the average job was getting somewhere between 70 and 80 applications. That meant that a recruiter could go through and read every single one of those applications to determine fit. Well, today, the world has changed, and the average job is receiving 250 applicants per role. Well, naturally, when you experience something like this on the back end, that means you've got to do something in order to try to filter and sort these candidates. And for that reason, companies started turning to something called applicant tracking systems. And applicant tracking systems will basically take keywords from a job description, compare them to a resume, and stack rank those resumes against each other, ultimately filtering out somewhere between 70 to 90% of the applicants immediately. So unfortunately, what this means is it's not always the most qualified person who ends up getting an interview. Instead, a lot of the times, it's the person who uses the right keywords in their resume. Well, beyond there, the recruiter has about 6 to 7 seconds to look at each resume, which means it not only has to get the attention of this robot, it also has to get the attention of a human being. 2% of people get interviews, and at the end of the day, we all know one person's dream is realized. When we realized what was going on behind the scenes, we didn't want to sit on our hands and do nothing about it. And so what we did is we actually reversed the algorithm that applicant tracking systems use to determine fit for a certain role. And that's what we have today. And so I'll walk you through our product and what it looks like. So just to start off, here's our interface. When you do log in, you'll see it's pretty simple and easy to understand. But if I want to understand what's going on with my resume and understand ways to improve it, I'll go down here and I'll create a new scan. And when we say scan, what we mean is an optimized resume report. So the first thing I'll do is I'll upload my resume. And fair warning, this is my real resume. So I hope it doesn't embarrass me too badly. And then I'll compare it to a job description that I saw on Amazon. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click scan. And again, what's happening when I click scan is we're reversing the algorithm that applicant tracking systems use to determine fit rate. And as you can see, I got a 60%. Well, if I'm getting a 60%, chances are I'm not going to be getting into Pepperdine. But in reality, 60% is actually a pretty good number. We always like to tell people at the undergraduate level, if you're applying for an entry-level role, 60% is actually a really good place to be. But for most of you, you're going against an experienced talent pool. In that case, you actually face a greater challenge, and you need to get that number closer to 80%, just because there's a much broader talent pool for experienced hires. So let's say we want to figure out what's going on here. First thing I'll do is I'll click ATS findings, and it takes me down. And so the first thing it says, missing one important high-value skill on my resume. Great. Well, I want to improve it. So let's figure out what that is. Click on missing skill. The first thing that comes up is you can see the word sales. It's listed in my resume 12 times. It's listed in the job description 4. Okay. Well, that's helpful to know. Enterprise sales, it's listed in my resume 0 time, goose egg, but it's listed in the job description 4 times. And then coming down here, let's say I want to understand what they mean by a certain word. Let's take positioning, for instance. If you click on the word, it'll take you there and it'll actually show you the context. So as you can see, experiencing and positioning and selling technology in a new customer and new market segments. Okay, well, this makes more sense. So the first thing I'll do is I'll click here in Power Edit, and it'll allow me to go into my resume and edit it live. And so the first thing I'll do is I'll take a look at here. Enterprise Sales Representative is a job title. Unfortunately, I've never had that. I really don't feel comfortable including it, so I'm gonna miss that one. But I can focus on positioning. And so what I can do here is I can go in here, and the first thing I'll do is I'll take a look at something relevant, and okay. And I'll replace a word with the word positioning. And as you can see, all of a sudden my resume has gone from 60% to 63%. Okay, let's see what else we can include in here. Enterprise sales. Okay, this is something that I have experience with. So what I'll do is I'll come here. And as you can see, all of a sudden, this number has jumped from 60% to 67%. So we're experiencing some good momentum here. This is a good place to start, but obviously I don't want to stop there. So next thing I'll do is I'll go to Save Scan. And what that's allowing me to do is save the progress that I've made so far in the resume. And then I'll come back down here, and I want to figure out a little bit more about what's going on. So as you can see, first things first, job title match, and I'll have the job title that they're looking for, Enterprise Sales Representative. Sorry, never had it. So I'm going to move on. Education match. Excellent. So this job prefers a bachelor's degree. I have one. Well suited. Next thing is ATS tip. When we say ATS tip, what we mean is not all applicant tracking systems are created equal. So I want to figure out which one this is. So I will go to Amazon and I'll save that. And then I'm going to go to the job description where I found it. I'm going to click copy the URL. And then I'll go back to job scan and I'll input the URL and I'll click save. And what's happening in the background is we're actually taking a look at the page and parsing out which applicant tracking system they're using. And so in this case, Amazon uses iCIMS. Well, why is this important? Well, it's important because iCIMS doesn't recognize things like verb tenses. And so going back to what I mentioned earlier about the word positioning, if I use the word positioned in the past tense rather than the current tense, that means people aren't picking up on it. So immediately I'm missing out on something. Another thing is they don't recognize abbreviations. This is a big problem. If you're going in and you're getting your master's, you want to make sure that people recognize that. So instead of writing out MED for Masters of Education, instead putting Masters of Education literally. It's really important to get noticed, especially if you're applying for positions that require that sort of thing, an advanced degree. And so as I come down here, you'll see it goes even further. Things like section headings, file types, date formattings, recruiter findings. This is really interesting. We want to understand word count. As you can see, it's mentioned there. Measurable results. These are really important for getting the attention of employers. So you can see I have 14, and if I click here, it'll actually list each of them out. And then job level match. This is really interesting. So this is a junior level role, but I've held a director title. Don't worry, it's finance. There's a lot of inflation or title inflation in finance. But understanding that career trajectory or the career shift is really important. And as you can see, it outlines some steps you can take to do that. And then words to avoid, it's just basically gauging tonality. Then as I come down here, go into a lot more information, where you went to school since you're going to Pepperdine. Naturally, we want to give you an education boost. It's a top 50 school. And then coming down here, just listing out things like hard skills, going down a little bit further, soft skills, what connects with people, and then other skills and keywords. So I hope you guys get a lot out of it. We're certainly excited to be partnering with you. And I can't say enough nice things about this team at Pepperdine. Amazing to work with, incredible resources, and please be sure to turn to them whenever you get the chance.
Thank you so much, Collins. With an unstable an unstable economy, I think that having a resource like this can be really critical in making our candidates stand out. So we're really excited to be partnering with you and to be leveraging artificial intelligence to make our students and alumni be able to move forward in their careers. So thank you so much. Okay, so in wrapping up our session today, just wanted to remind all of you that we are here to help. Our career services team is excited to work with you and help you, whether you're clarifying your next step, preparing for advancement, or making a transition. And we know, as I mentioned, during a downward economy, it's particularly important to have this support. Just wanted to remind you about our resources. Handshake is our career portal. On Handshake, you will find employment listings. You'll also find career resources like resume samples, interview questions by industry, LinkedIn resources, and then you'll also have an opportunity to sign up for appointments with our team members. So we have Virtual 30, which are 30-minute consultations regarding your self-marketing materials, resume, CV, cover letter, LinkedIn profile. And then we also have our virtual career counseling appointments, which are 1-hour appointments designed to help you clarify your next step and develop a job search strategy to help you move forward. If you've missed our April 22nd, May 6th, or June 3rd, #Jamie Online sessions, then not to worry, because we have all of our recordings in our Google Drive. And so I'll go ahead and place that in the chat so that you have access to it. And this right here will give you access to our Google Drive. So you'll find the recordings from the previous session and the one today. You'll find a resource guide where our team has curated online resources, websites that will help you during this time. And then hot off the press, we have our LinkedIn Learning Career Resources Guide. So one of our team members, EO, has curated a ton of information regarding different career-related topics, anywhere from mental health and career development to your elevator pitch, to informational interviews, to resumes and cover letters, networking. So all those courses are listed out for you as well.